I guess I wanted the house so bad for the kids, I just rushed in.
I guess you can blame it on the economy.
We had 3 years before the rate adjusted, and we figured we could easily refinance the house then or sell and make a nice profit.
It became very hard to pay all the bills. Being on a fixed income, it started to add up pretty fast.
Welcome. I'm Karen, a certified housing counselor. If you're watching this, you've taken a huge step toward hopefully saving your home. This won't be the only thing you have to do. But as you will see, taking action and taking action early is vitally important. You're about to see 4 stories from homeowners who got into trouble with their mortgages. While not all of them were able to keep their homes, they were all able to avoid foreclosure.
I guess you can blame it on the economy. I worked at my old company for 7 years, almost 8. I was in data management. Good job, good pay. But when the whole tech industry started to go sour, my company started to downsize.
It's not uncommon to see people lose solid jobs in this current downturn in the economy.
My condo was real nice. All the amenities, swimming pool, exercise room, the whole shebang. Great neighborhood. 15 minutes from my office. Sweet. I missed several mortgage payments and ran up a lot in credit card debt. Nobody was hiring in my field. I fell really behind in my mortgage payments and received a foreclosure notice.
Warren ran into trouble in part because he hadn't been living on a budget and didn't have much in the way of savings to survive things like this.
I called my lender right away. I knew I could lose my condo. I couldn't get anywhere with them. They kept transferring me and passing me from one person to the next. When I got through to someone familiar with my loan, they told me they couldn't help me because I didn't have a job. I got an offer for a job in PR, but it paid less, a lot less. I had to spend more for my health insurance, too. I took the job, but even then I couldn't really make the payments, so I called a mortgage counselor.
Warren's counselor looked at his spending and found several places where Warren could cut expenses. He made the necessary changes to his budget, and together, Warren and his counselor were able to work with his credit card companies to get some better terms. And best of all, his counselor was able to help Warren make the case with his mortgage lender for a plan to catch up on his mortgage payment.
I love this place. I should have called a counselor earlier before I got the foreclosure notice.
About 2 years ago, Jesse started wheezing and having problems breathing. The heart, you know.
Anyways, I started having some problems, and now I take 8 different medicines. It's very expensive.
It became very hard to pay all the bills. Being on a fixed income, it started to add up pretty fast.
So we talked to a loan broker, and he told us that we could take out a loan on the house and get all the money I needed for my medical bills. Even more, maybe.
He said he had all the paperwork all filled out. We didn't even need to read it all. It was all just standard stuff, he said.
We hear stories like this a lot. Always read before you sign. If you don't understand, ask for an explanation and keep asking until you know what you are signing for.
And then we found out that we had a big payment due, and there were other fees too, huge fees.
So finally, we called a housing counselor. She took one look at the paperwork, and she knew something wasn't right.
The counselor got in touch with the mortgage company, and the mortgage company realized that the broker had not been fully truthful with Jesse and Mildred. It became clear that they did not fully understand the terms of this new loan. They thought they were tapping into the equity they had built in their home. The counselor was able to work out a new loan with the bank, one that still enabled Mildred and Jesse to get the cash they needed, but with new repayment terms they could handle.
A loan modification, I think is what they called it.
We can keep the house, and we can pay for Jesse's medicine too.
Well, with the divorce, we'd all been through so much, and I wanted the kids to at least stay in the neighborhood with their friends. I used all of my savings, $5,000 to get that house. I got a good job at the local computer plant, $14 an hour. I knew it would be tight, but I wasn't prepared for all the expenses, and the bills started piling up pretty fast. My ex didn't help much. Of course, he never had any money anyway. And the real estate agent told me that the bank could get me a really good loan on that house. It was called an interest-only loan, so the payment should be okay. Just the interest for 5 years? That sounded good.
There's that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Molly learned that one the hard way.
The loan guy was very helpful. He filled out all of the paperwork, and the bank said it looked good, so I signed all of the papers very quickly. We moved in, and then I got the notice for the first payment. I could not believe it. It was over $1,000 a month for the interest alone. I didn't think the payment would be that much. I mean, after I paid daycare expenses and my house payment, I had nothing left for groceries and gas.
Understanding all the terms of her loan and making a written spending plan before moving in might have helped Molly. Also, it seems clear Molly didn't understand the kind of loan she was getting, and that the loan officer may even have altered her income on her application to get her approved. Never sign until you know what your monthly payment will be.
I made the first payment, but then after that I just couldn't pay that much. And with the kids and all, I could not get a second job. There was no way. So after 3 months, I finally called a housing counselor for help, and I got an appointment the next day. I brought all of my papers to her.
It didn't take long for the trained eye of Molly's counselor to spot trouble. Clearly, this woman had been led to believe she could afford a loan that was really beyond her means. She signed on to a mortgage she could never afford on her true salary.
I guess I wanted the house so bad for the kids, I just rushed in. But I would not have gone ahead if I knew I was going to have to pay that much every month.
The counselor called her mortgage servicer and explained the situation. Then they discussed Molly's options at length. She decided that, in the end, it would be best to get out from under the mortgage and move. Her lender was willing to work with her.
I did have to give the house back. I couldn't keep it. But I don't owe any more payments, and I'll be able to sleep again at night.
Every month, it seemed, Hector was coming home telling me what the house down the block sold for.
I couldn't believe the prices, so I said it was time to move up. We found this really nice house. I mean, it was really nice. It was expensive, but we figured that since the value on everyone's homes was increasing, it's time for us to move up, too. We thought it was a good investment.
I think we knew we were buying too much house, but we were so excited.
Anyhow, our lender showed us an adjustable rate mortgage. It looked all right. We could afford it. At least we could afford it for a little while.
The troubled housing market has made it hard to refinance or sell homes right now. Our counselors are seeing many homeowners who are in similar circumstances and helping them look for the best options for house payments that are increasing due to adjustable rate loans.
We just didn't think the housing market would come down and so much.
And then with the economic situation getting worse, I mean, we got hit pretty hard when the introductory mortgage rate expired and our monthly payment went way up.
Many people are trying to cope with adjustable rate mortgages and rising housing payments that they can't afford and homes they can't sell.
So I laid out all the numbers, and then I called a mortgage counselor for help.
They were smart. They sought help long before they got into serious trouble. This is critical. The earlier you come in for counseling, the more options you have.
Looking back, we knew what we were getting into, but we, along with everyone else, we didn't see the housing bust coming.
In this case, the counselor was able to work with the lender and the homeowner to help them negotiate a modification to the interest rate to one Hector and Manuela could handle, so that an affordable house payment was the end result.
I guess we just got caught up in that crazy housing boom.
I hope you feel a little more comfortable now with the process you're about to embark upon, trying to avoid foreclosure. I hope you see that there are trained, certified counselors who are out there who will help you with this effort. You aren't alone in this. If you are in mortgage trouble, or even if you think you are in trouble, seek the help of a housing counselor as soon as possible. The earlier you act, the more tools will be available to help you. To find a certified counselor near you, call the National Foundation for Credit Counseling now. Call 1-866-687-6322.